What is up, Facebook? This is Wes Day, my first live broadcast for my podcast, What the Wes. Here today with my friend James Brown from the Sidewalk Film Festival. How you doing, James?
Hey, I'm good. Glad to be here. It's exciting.
Man, I'm really excited to have you on because I figure if anything goes wrong with this, there's nobody I could have that would be better.
That's right. No problem.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been working on here lately. I know you said you've had some commercials. I saw you had Billboard.
Oh yeah, the infamous Billboard. I mean, it goes a long time back, about 12 years or so, when I got an agent because of a short film that I was in at Sidewalk. And so over the years, I've done some a variety, mostly regional commercials, training videos, all kinds of stuff like that. And, go through dry spells where I don't do anything for a year. Was pretty fortunate towards the end of last year that did a fun commercial for the EWTN network. Did an infomercial up in Gadsden. It was pretty fun, kind of out of my wheelhouse. It was a lot of fun. And then, all
right, back up. So the infomercial, what was this for?
The infomercial was for, how do I want to put this? Because it seems like a pretty interesting concept. It's a software and like an app for your phone that helps you trade stocks on Mondays, or actually, I think you short them. I couldn't quite understand. I was a little confused by it, but it's a money making thing that helps people find their dreams of money.
Is it like the Acorn thing or Robinhood? Is it an app or?
It's an app, and for the life of me, I can't even remember what it was called. That's
Yeah.
But it was interesting. I've seen plenty of infomercials, never been a part of one before, so that was kind of fun.
So then I'm just thinking about how you get work.
Mm-hmm.
And so you said you got an agent 12 years ago
mm-hmm.
off of a short film that you were involved with.
Mm-hmm.
Were you acting in that or directing or?
That was my first short. Wrote, directed, starred, everything, produced, the whole works. And
what was it about?
So it was called Lunch, and it was the pretty much true story of how my lunch kept getting stolen at work. And I actually work for the company where that happened to this day. But I was, my lunch was getting stolen out of the community refrigerator. So I decided to take revenge and steal other people's lunches. And that made a short film about it.
Is that available on YouTube? Or?
It's on the internet. Yes. It's not on YouTube. I just brought this up to somebody the other day. I'm 47 years old, and my parents have never heard me curse. So I keep edited versions of things out there for them, but the real version is hidden away in the deep, dark, secret internet portal somewhere.
All right, so that leads me to another question. What are your parents like that you hid cursing from them for so long?
I was brought up very, very conservative. Couldn't listen to rock and roll music. Couldn't see any, R-rated movies or anything like that. Halloween was dressing up as characters from the Bible and not trick-or-treating. That went on for a long time. I did rock and roll at the skating rink on occasion. But it wasn't until I was in high school and worked at a restaurant that I started hearing any kind of rock music to speak of, classic rock, stuff like that. Plus what was current, Guns N' Roses at the time. And then I went full bore into it, as soon as I could hear those.
Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah,
man.
That was one of my first cassettes. Yeah.
All right. So I passed you in the parking lot of Costco like 3 years ago. And I think you might've had it. Tell me about your kids' situation. Like how old are they?
8 and 6.
8 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And is that a boy and a girl or
2 girls?
2 girls. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because, I don't know if you knew or if you followed my feed, but I became a stepdad,
mm-hmm.
And it's so weird. Like you talk about like not being able to listen to rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
I always have like, we'll sit down and we'll want to watch movies, right? And I'll be like, I really love this flick. I don't remember if it's child appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Pete can handle Full Metal Jacket.
Mm-hmm. Really? How old's Pete?
Pete is 18. Well, he's about to be 18. So, but this was like,
a few years ago. Yeah.
13, 14.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to watch the Christmas special of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So maybe not always appropriate. Yeah, that's been a fun challenge with music. My wife and I both like a lot of good music, and a lot of that music has some words in it, and we've adapted pretty well to it. Kids Bop does this weird thing where they will, they change all the lyrics and the themes of very popular songs. If you've never heard of it, you're blessed. You're blessed. There's about 40 Kids Bop albums of, today's greatest hits that are all adapted for children. And
are they just all completely cleaned up, or it's a total revamp?
Totally cleaned up. If there's themes, they change those as well, just so the kids can seem popular to their friends. But it's we've, I think, done a good job of telling the kids, hey, listen, you're going to hear some stuff in music and things like that you're not really supposed to talk about at school and say in general public. And they picked up on it. They ask us sometimes if a word is bad or not, and we let them know yes or no. And they're good kids. They don't curse or anything like that. But why was one of mine cursing through the Costco parking lot? Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah. No, it's just funny at that age because you are having to mitigate a little bit of influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that Lance is the youngest of the boys, and he's 11 right now in 6th grade. And what he likes to do is like he plays baseball. Mm-hmm. So say we're in the stands and he'll run out of the dugout and say, hey, Mom, guess what WTF means? And we're just cringing, face palming the whole way. And then he'll be like, well, that's fantastic.
Is he doing that to get your goat, or is he? I think
he just has a knack for comedy a little bit,
That's a good gig.
But now your main gig is your main gig. And then how much are you actually involved with a Sidewalk Film Festival? Because I was trying to look it up. I really couldn't figure out. I just know that you're high up in it.
Well, I don't know. High up in it is a very is putting it a little more grandiose than it is. I've been involved since the beginning.
Okay.
In a volunteer basis the whole time. They pay me in goodwill and, meals and parties and stuff like that.
A lot of opportunities.
The fun stuff. Yeah. And it's I am part of the volunteer staff that helps the festival run. So there's plenty of people that are, getting a paycheck from Sidewalk, either for working at the cinema, which is new.
Right.
Or
I want to talk about that too.
Yeah. Working for the festival year round. I mean, this used to be Sidewalk used to be a situation where there were, it's a nonprofit. So, I mean, there were months where people just didn't even know if they're going to get paid. I mean, it's one of those, kind of things, and it's gotten a little better, fortunately. But, there was a staff of one, full-time person, and then there's two, and then it's grown and so on, which is great. I mean, that shows the growth of the festival, not only in the community, but the reputation, and it brings people in and what it does. So, I'm still a completely happy, non-paid volunteer that I've tried to quit so many times you can't even imagine, but they keep finding a way to bring me back in, as they say in that.
Well, you've been so involved for so long that you, even if you're not getting paid for it, you really are a face to it. From what I've been able to tell,
for better or worse.
And I know, like, for instance, when I met you, I was trying to get involved with the salons, and I didn't really know anybody. I was kind of I kind of got the vibe like I was the who the hell is this guy showing up to stuff kind of vibe. And you were right there with me, man. Like, you hung out at the table the whole time and made friends. And I always thought back and I really appreciated that because I think that every scene needs that sort of capacity.
Yeah, well, that's very nice of you to say. I mean, I think there's a lot of people like that, and I probably told you this back then too. You know, it's weird you get in little clicks and stuff like that, and it's easier to talk to people you know than it is to talk to people you don't know.
Sure.
But I've made a lot of friends and connections, and have been very happy with talking to strangers, especially at those kind of networking events, things like that, where you find somebody that's brilliant. Like yourself.
Oh yes.
You find you can meet a lot of cool people and make a lot of good connections that reverberate for the future.
By the way, Marty Martindale says, "Hey James."
Oh, that's my mother-in-law.
Is it?
Yeah, my beautiful mother-in-law.
Hey Marty.
Hi Marty. Thanks for watching, listening.
So the Billboard. Can we get into that? Because that's fun. That's really fun.
And it is fun. It's not necessarily a funny
thing,
but I don't mean it like that either. It's pretty. It's fun for me because it's more of a modeling gig than an acting gig. You know, acting, that's easy. Modeling's hard. You ever seen Zoolander? But it's it was basically an audition, like an acting audition. Got the call that they liked what they saw. And it was one of those things, kind of like on Friends, if you ever saw, where Joey was up for a commercial and he didn't realize what it was for. And it was for STDs. So he had a hard time getting dates after that because he was all over the subway system in New York with got chlamydia or something like that. I can't even remember. But this was a deal where they had me come down there, sit in a chair, take some pictures and take some video. And it could have been any number of things that I would have been afflicted with. And out of sheer grace and, happenstance, they gave me the one of the drunk. Cheers. But I am fortunately, I'm not a drunk.
It was not a planned thing to bring beer up here while we talk about this.
It's a great idea, though.
I thought so, actually.
Great idea. And it's a great, it's a thing for the state of Alabama Department of Public Health. It's basically, I think these billboards are getting stuck up in places where people probably don't talk to each other about their problems as much as they do, say, in your big cities where people are a little more open to stuff like that. And I think it's a pretty good thing all around. There's plenty of people with problems, and it's good that they can.
And what was the what's the campaign called again?
It's called Stop Judging.
Yep. StopJudging.org.
StopJudging.org. Yeah. And basically to stop judging people for their problems and start talking about it, which is communication is helps bridge a lot of gaps and helps a lot of people.
What was the Mitch Hedberg joke? It was like, one of these two doesn't sound right. Damn it, Otto, you have lupus. I can't remember how it goes.
I'm trying to remember too. I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry, but I butchered that.
Yeah, no, but the funny thing is, people that know me, it's I post something like this on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and it's funny to everybody because everybody, you generally will see me at a brewery, and here I am on a billboard that just says he's a drunk, which they're like, yeah, I know. But so that part of it is funny, the whole campaign the campaign is obviously serious, but it's fun to have people driving by and taking pictures and saying, hey, I saw you in Greenville, Alabama on a billboard. I turned into Alexander Shannara.
What's the total billboard count at this point? Are you keeping the score?
Ooh, it's a big number. It's 2 so far. And like I said, I think they're placing them in places where I haven't been out of town. I know one's in Childersburg, one's in Greenville. Who knows? I mean, they could be anywhere, but nobody's left town since they started popping up. So who knows?
Tell me more about what's going on with the new building. So have y'all had that for a full year, or was that acquired this past summer?
The cinema?
What's that?
The cinema?
Yes.
No, it opened for reals. You get it? I just that joke was
REE
on the fly.
Oh, nice. Sharp.
Boy.
Mhm.
And it opened right, I think it was September, right after the festival. They had some screenings during the festival, which is always the last weekend in August,
Mhm.
but it wasn't officially open.
Right.
So then they opened up in September, and been going full bore since then. All kinds of cool, and they have the benefit. Excuse me, they have the benefit of doing a lot of sort of on the fly programming. They can adapt to what's happening in the world.
Mhm.
Because they have two screens. They can play stuff constantly on one of those screens and throw a crazy screening at the last minute, just depending on what's going on. That's cool.
Well, I saw too. There was a lighting class
Mhm.
for video production.
Yep.
Maybe also photography. I don't know how they did that, but it would overlap, I would think. So, are they doing a lot of those events there as well, where people can find out about what sort of events or training classes, things like that?
Yeah. So the salon, like we met,
Uh-huh.
they're still doing networking things like that.
Now, are they doing it at that
Yeah,
venue
at that
now?
venue
Okay.
instead of Rojo.
Gotcha.
As much as generous as Rojo has been with their time and food and money and everything else, having that space frees up, them having to do anything for us, which we're trying to take a little bit of burden off of them and
Mhm.
still maintain the relationship. And so Sidewalk's got a home now. So it used to be, a tiny little room with, shelves and two chairs and, a couple of computers. I mean,
Mhm.
and stuff just stacked everywhere. And this is actually a beautiful, beautiful, cool looking space with classrooms and theaters and sound and video everywhere and drinks and food and all kinds of stuff.
Now, are they also doing like a studio out of that location where people can maybe rent the space? I'm just kind of spitballing here. I don't know.
No studio. They do have rental of not only the theater spaces during the day, but they have, call it classroom, but they have other space that they can rent out for whatever, and you have access to the facilities there and stuff like that. So
it's just a matter of time before people start getting married there.
gosh, I hope so. I might do it again. I don't know.
You
I mean,
nervous?
obviously renew my vows.
You're gonna pop the question all over again.
I just spoiled it. Oh, well.
We'll do it at the Regions Field in the middle of a game.
No,
Classy,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's very cool, and I'm super excited, and I hope people are going and continue to go, and they play a lot of great stuff you just can't see elsewhere. It's really nice.
What's the website?
You can get to pretty much everything Sidewalk related at sidewalkfest.com.
All right.
They have links to all that stuff there.
Cool. What sort of projects do you see happening as far as I know that there will be occasions where we'll find out that somebody famous was in town because they're doing a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
How much is Sidewalk involved with the overall film industry in Alabama?
I think the deal there is that they will have as much information about stuff that's happening as pretty much you can get anywhere. So the good thing about the internet now is you got access to all that if you want to find it out. They typically will hopefully help disseminate that a little bit, because sometimes the Alabama Film Commission will put stuff up all day, but if you don't know how to get there, or you forget about it or whatever, you just never hear about it.
I didn't even know it existed. So
yeah, and so I think they help promote a lot of that stuff a lot of times, through social media, Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. And a lot of people are friends with Sidewalk, may not be friends with other places that are doing all this.
Yeah,
stuff slips through the cracks all the time, and I'm surprised about stuff all the time. I mean, it's hard to keep up with everything that's filming in Birmingham and Alabama. They're filming a Disney film in Mobile soon that I auditioned for the other day, and it's a secret project.
All right,
that's all I can tell you. I think they even spelled Disney different on the sheet. No, I'm just kidding. But
did you have to sign a non-disclosure on that?
No, no, it's in the papers and in the trades and all that kind of stuff. It's a YA young adult film that'll probably, I'm going to guess Disney Plus is probably going to do a lot of that stuff now, like do their own, like for Disney Plus.
Sort of
movies.
like what Netflix is doing.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's going to be filming soon. But I mean, there were probably 3 or 4 features that shot in Birmingham last year. And one of them I found out after the fact. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, there was the, what was the big one that came out? It was the baseball movie. It was a period piece.
Oh yeah. 42.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still haven't seen that.
Yeah. No,
I need to check that out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And they shot that at the time they were calling it Live or Live or whatever, the Airnet Cart film. They shot that right next to my office downtown last year. And then that John Travolta thing that, got all the Razzies for worst film of the year.
Did it?
Yeah, it's okay. He had a bad haircut in that movie. That's probably part of it.
Well, I don't mean to talk bad about people, but I don't know. John Travolta does seem like he's just kind of gotten out there. I don't know. There was a lot of things that came out several years back, and it seems like there's something that happened after Pulp Fiction, and I really don't follow the tabloids enough to be able to tell you what that is. But
yeah, you want me to tell you?
Sure.
No, I don't want to.
Tell me, man.
Well, first of all, everybody knew he was bald, but he would never admit it.
Really?
And bald is beautiful, as you know.
Yes, it is.
And he was playing that game for about 10 years of hair pieces and all kinds of stuff. And some of them look good. Some of them did not look good. But that was one of his big secrets.
Huh.
That may be his only big secret. That's all, I don't know.
Cheers. I'm enjoying this so far. This is good. You just get the dirt.
Yeah. So yeah, but he's filmed a couple of movies here. And
what was the one that got the Razzies?
Fanatic, directed by Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit fame. Yeah, he's a director.
No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Anybody could be a director, Wes.
I am right now, actually, because check this out. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2.
Yeah. I don't know where to look. Yeah, so they were in town, and yeah, that was apparently a pretty bad film. I don't know. I'm sure it has I mean, let's put it this way. As a person who's made a film, who's been in a lot of films, some successful, some less so, but knows what goes on to make a film, any film that you can complete and is an actual film is a huge, huge triumph.
That's fair. That's a
whether
fair statement.
Cost you
dude, I'm freaking out about
$100, whether it cost you 100,000 or 100 million.
I'm freaking out about this. I mean, and this is maybe I might have a couple $1,000s worth of gear in here or something, but this is nerve-wracking for me that we're live, and I've put so much work into it, and now I've got my first at least live guest. Love goes out to Goose for being my first actual interview, and James Brown will have the huge feather in your cap that you will be able to put on your resume forever to be the first broadcast guest interview that I've had.
Why did Goose have to be the one that went down first?
You know what? Here's the thing. I was fine doing everything in post. We paid up money for Adobe Premiere, and after all of the work that I put into it, it had this weird glitch where it mixed down or rendered with only audio on the left side of the speakers. And so I went through and I read all of the forums. I watched YouTube videos. I figured there are other people out there with this issue.
Sure. And
I found them, and they were on the Adobe forums. And their solution was to actually download a different program to match the audio with the video. So I'm like, okay, well, screw that. So we'll move on. And then I discovered DaVinci Resolve. And that's how we wound up finding about this, piece of equipment here. And at any rate, I go through that and it won't render.
It looks like a label maker. Is that what it's doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of is. I mean, look, it's doing the label on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it wouldn't render. It would get like to 40% and then just stall out. So
Now you're going to have to describe and tell everybody what rendering is, because
oh, that's true. I'm using some industry slang over here. Yeah, rendering just means like to actually take whatever you're working on from the timeline and your software and get your final product. So it takes a lot of computer processing power that my laptop doesn't really handle very well.
Basically, whenever you used to, in the old days, when you used to watch a YouTube video and you'd see the little spinning wheel as it was trying to do that, that's basically what you're doing when you're rendering. You're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for things to actually process.
Hours.
Yeah, so you can use them or see them or whatever you happen to do. Yeah.
And so this whole room, the studio started with my dad wanting to do some informational videos. And so we kind of pooled our resources together, which was awesome because I've really been looking for a good way to bond with my dad anyway. And so we had this common interest and wound up being able to put forth the effort to do this. And then just to not be able to actually have a final product. It was just gut wrenching. And so we looked around. This thing's actually designed for gamers who stream online. So it's putting out what's quote unquote a webcam at 1080p. So anyway,
cool.
Pretty neat stuff. But
there's more money in Twitch, by the way, than there is in podcasting, I think.
You're probably right. Hey, but here's the thing. And it's like I was watching in 2005, I had a podcast. That was the first big boom, right? You recall? And I did an indie rock discovery podcast. And it was actually pretty successful. I was featured on iTunes. Like when you go to the rock podcast, I was like on the second or third page.
Cool.
And I was in the middle of college and had, a crazy exam season and put it down.
Did you break anybody? Did you break any bands or anything? Like anybody you promoted that?
Okay, so I can't claim I did. It's really hard to know who you actually influenced, but it was amazing because what I would do is I would go to MySpace, shout out to MySpace, and you could listen to music and you could filter by independent. So if they had no record label affiliation, that you could just hear all of the music that was online for that. And there's a lot to dig through.
Sure.
And I would find these really awesome songs, just recorded beautifully, wonderful arrangements, great talent on vocals, and with an overall just poppy, like, hell, that's a hit, And that's what I would do. I would find 10 of those from a different artist, 10 different songs by 10 different artists and put it up. And it really didn't take long. Like Ingrid Michaelson was one of them.
Yeah.
And a month after I put her on, she was on the front page of Billboard magazine being touted for her ability to sell so many albums as an independent.
There you go.
And
one of my wife's
I didn't
artists.
do that, but it was really great. If anything, it validated my ear to be able to listen through all that and find the really good music. But so fast forward to I knew Joe Rogan had a podcast for a long time,
Sure.
but I didn't really sit down and watch it.
They're long.
They are very long. They're anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours, and but Tulsi Gabbard was on. And I was like, well, I want to see what she's about.
Yeah.
So I sat down and watched it, and I was just like, holy crap, this guy's got it figured out. Long, open form conversations, organic, honest conversation. And that's what people want.
Yeah.
And hell, that's the only thing that's actually fun to do. Because if you're sitting around doing rehearsed stuff or having really high pressure, ooh, what am I going to say next? So we don't have 1 second of gap and silence,
Right.
And anyway, so I kind of picked up on that and kind of rolled with it. And now that we're on this Facebook Live thing, I'm just digging it, man. I think it's awesome. We got my parents are watching.
Oh, hello, parents.
Yeah. And my buddy Bill Camp from My Tobacco Shop in Pelham, Alabama. Big shout out to you, buddy. Thanks for the compliment. He says that the quality's coming across pretty well. So
that's what you want. Good.
That's it. Okay, so we're almost done with January.
Yep. All right.
What are your plans and goals for the rest of the year?
Well, Les, let's see. Going a little, going on a Disney trip next month
Ooh.
with the family. That's going to be exciting. Gonna basically, it's for me because I'm going to go to, Star Wars land and all that kind of stuff.
Bull. You're going to sneak into the hallways and try to figure out who's producing that Mobile movie.
Yeah, try to get it. I'm going to squeeze whoever I have to get that gig. No, so yeah, got some fun stuff coming up. It's going to be there's, always Sidewalk towards the end of the year. Plus there's you ever heard about the Salsa Showdown? You ever come out to that?
The Salsa Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't.
Really?
I don't know anything about it.
Can I promote it?
Please.
Okay. Well,
this is for all the stuff you want to, anything you want to promote, man. Green light. If you've got a Pornhub account that you're trying to push.
Perfect. So the Salsa Showdown, I think this will be the 10th. Gosh, Salsa Showdown has been one of Sidewalk's biggest promotional fundraiser deals of the year. Been at a couple of different locations over the year, but it's been at Cahaba the last few. Basically, as the name would indicate, the Salsa Showdown is a contest between restaurants and independent vendors around the state, around the city at least, in a salsa contest. And then they also do queso and guac and then specialty dips and things like
so
that.
Not
so
dancing.
Not just salsa. Right. Yeah, sorry. The edible salsa.
Edibles?
Yep. And that'll be in a year or two probably. But yeah, so it's a big old fundraiser and it's cheap ticket. Tons of people come out. And then the sort of the finale of the Salsa Showdown each year is a hot pepper eating contest that I put on. And it's a blast, man. It's a cash prize. It's evolved over the years from just who can eat the most of the hottest pepper in certain rounds, but it gets into now there's a timed eating challenge as well, just because we had a guy that kept winning every year. And so we tried to throw him a loop a little bit, and it did. And so now we've got a girl that's won the last couple of years. So now we got to figure out what to do to, keep everybody wanting to join the contest.
All right. Where are these going to happen? Are they going to be at the new building? Or?
No, it's in the last couple of years. And I think this year will probably be at Cahaba Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's a big old fun time. It's Memorial Day weekend. So if you like that kind of thing, if you like money and hot peppers,
I like money.
It's a big time. Yeah. And that's Memorial Day weekend. So you just kind of look on the social media channels, you'll see tickets available and all that kind of stuff.
Right on.
Yeah. So that's fun. So, my life pretty much, revolves around my work, which I'm an insurance adjuster. It's exciting. And then sidewalk and film stuff that keeps me sane. And then
dude, being
an
insurance adjuster probably has better stories than anything else, actually.
If only that were true. No, like any job, man. It's you got stories. It's usually the people that you work with that are the ones that,
like getting all of your sandwiches stolen and sparking
true
the muse.
That's true. Yeah, now that I think about it, it was the coworkers that were the problem, not the customers or the clients or the people involved in the accidents. But
the accidents, yes.
Yeah, but no, they're funny too.
I accidentally ate your sandwich.
No, I tell you, man, if I can say one thing about being an insurance adjuster, yes, I know there's a bad reputation here and there, and some of it's well deserved about people handling injury claims and things like that.
Okay.
But which I do on a daily basis. But there's a lot of stupid drivers out there, man. There's a lot of people that don't know how to drive.
Tell me about it, man.
So it's not all my fault. It's their fault.
This morning I got cut off and I damn near spilt my bowl of cereal all over the book I was reading.
We didn't even have that set up, folks. Can you believe that? We didn't even have that set up.
I saw the opportunity and I...
Yeah, good for you, man. That was good. Yeah, so that's all I can say is people just drive more. Drive defensively and drive offensively at the same time, and that way you'll kind of come right in the middle and be a good driver overall.
All right, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because Pete doesn't have his license yet, so he is an unseasoned driver. Now I'm actually a very good instructor because I did work in in food delivery for like 10 plus years on and off. And so you put in a few years on that, and man, you are the most offensive driver. You got all the tricks, looking at the front tires, and yada yada. What are the main pieces of advice that you would give somebody who's about to get their license?
Oh Lord. Well, don't text and drive. That sounds like a father, right?
Yeah.
That's a big one. Yeah. Keep your attention to everything that's happening to the sides and in front of you.
Speaking of attention, I love your t-shirt.
Thank you.
Can you, I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, I think we get the point. Anybody who's driven up 65 from the beach, you've seen that sign.
Yeah. And if you're only listening, it says, go to Sidewalk or the devil will get you. Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were talking about attention
focusing,
span.
Yeah, and that's a prime example. You're looking at the devil on the side of the highway and not paying attention to the person in front of you. There's been a few wrecks there.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just keep your wits about you, young man. That's my advice.
So how are the girls coming along? And if you don't feel comfortable talking, that's cool. But I was just curious.
My children.
Yeah.
Gosh, Wes.
I know, right? Caring.
No, they're great. Anytime I have to cry just out of the blue, I just think of them. It's a beautiful thing. I don't have to cry on command ever. Don't worry. I'm not that kind of actor. No, they're at a great age, man. You've been around kids around that age at least. And then they're fantastic. They're funny.
Well, that's good.
One's learning to play the guitar.
Really? I'm intrigued. Electric or acoustic?
Electric.
Okay.
Yeah, the 8-year-old is, and she's doing.
Is she taking lessons, or is she just okay?
Yeah, taking lessons.
Autodidactic.
Sure. I don't know what that means. No, she's doing great, and she her teacher continuously compliments her, and I'm very proud of her. I don't know that she likes to practice, but she's pretty good at it.
Well, we got some comments here. Okay, Mike Bidner, friend of mine from high school, says, how extensive is James Brown's knowledge of James Brown, though? Have you ever gotten that one before?
Not that question. Not the knowledge question. I know that in a strange twist of fate, he and my dad were born in the same year within a few days of each other. And although when people say, oh, were you named after James Brown? And I always say, yeah. They look at me and they're like, okay, cool. But just for the record, I don't really look like James Brown. I don't favor him too much. But
depends.
Depends on which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I know that he died on Christmas Day, and which was even though I know, even though I know for a fact that it wasn't me that died. When I got onto my computer that morning, because I lived alone at that point, and I got onto my computer, and I sat there and I was like, James Brown dies at I forget the age, but and I sat there and I looked at my computer and I was like, wait a minute, what? And I kind of looked at myself and I was like, okay, not me. But there's a split second when you see your name and dead, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I may have been drinking that morning. I don't know. It was Christmas.
That morning.
Yeah, I don't know.
Christmas is stressful.
But no, I love the man.
My buddy Tony Butler wants to know if you can dance. He might be
not in these shoes. Tony.
Not in those shoes. What are you wearing? I didn't even see.
I'm wearing some sneaks, man. I just some little.
Do you salsa dance? Is that going to be an upcoming thing for the salsa competition? Maybe
they have plenty of salsa music at that event. I do not dance. Well, at about 5:30, I end up dancing a little bit, but that's after about 6 or 7 Cahaba beverages.
Man, that's a quick half hour.
No. It starts at 2.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I was going to say, you get off work at 5, slam how many back? Oh, good.
No, yeah. No, I will admit that I am more of a lover than a dancer, Tony. All right.
Tony, I'll try to get you two together for a private chat
Let's do it.
later on. Cool. All right. So this is kind of, I think this has been a pretty good test of what I'm capable of doing. How are we doing on time? I haven't even paid attention. We're 40 minutes in, it looks like.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for moi?
Well, I mean, I can ask you what I used to just ask, every girl that I ever went on a first date with. But,
Ooh, is that what this is?
I mean, kind of, right? I mean, our first date, just you and me. We've been together a few times otherwise, but yeah. So all that musical stuff. Who's your favorite band, Wes?
Well, I'm the old cliche.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pick one.
Come on, man.
I really can't. It changes. Right now, I've been listening to a lot of John Prine.
Mm-hmm.
Super dig that.
Mm-hmm.
Todd Snyder, who was just here at the Alabama Theater, comes at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, he was at Iron City, wasn't he? Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it just depends, man. I love old school blues, like Delta, acoustic.
So did you follow the Grammys at all?
I did not.
Okay, so the winner of all the blues stuff this year was Gary Clark Jr. You like him? You know him? He's a young guy.
Is he related to Guy Clark?
No.
Okay.
No, he's pretty fresh. He opened. Let's see. I saw him. He opened for the Foo Fighters back a few years ago. But he's a pretty young guy. They play him on BMR occasionally. Blues rock, a little bit of pop in there maybe. Not every song of his is my cup of tea or traditional blues in that ring. But he's a great guitarist. Like people love his skills.
Now, is he local?
No.
Okay. Because I've seen sometimes.
I think he's Atlanta, but
okay, so regional.
Yeah, but he's a national act now, and he won all the stuff.
Gotcha. All right, so
so you like blues? Okay.
Oh, I love blues. Yeah.
Got a favorite movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day.
Cool. Weird time.
I saw that because y'all are doing a viewing on February 2nd at Sidewalk.
That wasn't even what I was going to say.
It?
So that movie that I auditioned for, that Disney movie, is basically Groundhog Day with kids.
Get out of town,
Isn't
dude.
That weird?
How weird would that be if you got the part?
It's your favorite movie.
That's my favorite movie.
So
we're talking about
it. I know, right? That's a great movie.
No, it's a beautiful movie. But I really dig that. All right, so I've got a movie that I've always loved. Everybody I've ever talked to hates it with a burning passion. Do you have any movies like that?
People hate? No, I think like one of my favorite movies of all time, either people haven't seen or it just skeeves them out because of some of the content in it. Which, you want me to tell you? You're looking at me like you want me to tell you.
Yeah, man.
It's Leon, the Professional. Jean Reno, Natalie Portman's first big film. She was a little kid back then. I
don't know the movie.
See? So
okay.
There. People that have seen it are either in favor of it. It's a weird tale about a hitman.
What's the title?
All
right. Yeah,
I'm not going to be a complete nerd about it.
Yeah.
But it's in America. It was called The Professional.
Okay.
It's called Leon.
Oh yeah, that's the one with the he's a hitman and he's got the young girl that kind of like somehow tags along with
attaches
him.
herself to him. Yeah. Basically.
Okay.
And Gary Oldman's in it. Danny Aiello just died, but he's in it. And it's a great film. And made in Europe, and it probably would not have been made here because there's nothing grotesque about the relationship between the two people.
Sure, it was.
But on the surface, it appears like it's a completely grotesque thing.
So then people who don't know the movie you're saying might think that there's a relationship between the old man and the young girl.
Because there's love there, but it's not that kind of love.
Right. There's like a fatherly, paternal thing happening.
Plus, people weren't too cool with, him training a 12-year-old girl to be a hitman. But, that part too. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the movie that I was kind of mentioning there is The Postman with Kevin Costner. It's a post-apocalyptic movie. Has a cameo from Tom Petty. I mean, yeah.
Right. You wouldn't really need much else than that to be a good movie, but
yeah, it could have been a 15-minute short. I'd have given him $20. But no, that movie really struck me in so many different ways because it has this beautiful take on what it would probably be like. You know, it's a little bit less grandiose as Mad Max or something like that. It's just, you know, yeah, there's going to be some tyrants that raise up to the ranks. But the idea was that the ability for different communities to communicate through the postal service and just it's an importance on our mailing system that is it maybe it's totally nerdy of me to appreciate, but it's like I would never think that. But when you apply that importance to a democracy, so to speak, it becomes a beautiful thing to me anyway.
So what you're saying now, you know, things have changed a little bit, so everybody's going to have to communicate through Amazon. Is that going to be the deal? or Ben Gibbard and his little side project.
What is that?
You know, the Postal Service, the band. You know, Postal Service. Yeah, come on.
You're dropping names.
Sorry.
No, you're good, man. I haven't listened to them in a while. I need to go back and check that out. Mike Bittner has another question. Worst sidewalk experience?
Worst? Okay. Oh boy.
Or stressful, or I mean, there's all those down to the wire moments. I know.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's year 2 or 3. I'll give you 2 examples. Very different from each other for different reasons. You'll see in a minute. But there was they threw the festival into like May one year, kind of like, you know, when they would switch city stages every once in a while. They kind of Sidewalk originally was sort of in you know, during up against football. And so they were like, oh, let's you know, change it up. But I can't, and now I can't even remember if this was a May one or if it was a May one. Either way, torrential downpours. And this was back when the footprint of Sidewalk, so the venues and the theaters and Sidewalk were all basically on 3rd, maybe might have been one on 2nd Avenue, but downtown. And so the streets of Birmingham were flooded. You couldn't go anywhere without getting wet, drenched. You couldn't, you know, water was pouring in everywhere. It was a terrible experience. And I was surprised that, you know, kind of like Sloss Fest had ever appeared after that. But there was also a year where, unfortunately, I walked in right as someone had passed away during a screening. And so that was quite the thing. And
like
in one of the venues. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And had just been watching a film, which is, I guess, a good way to go, you know?
Yeah.
Watching a film and just didn't wake up. And so that was pretty traumatic for a lot of people.
Sure.
And it was a lot that went on. You know, he was by himself too. I mean, it wasn't like he was there with his friends. He was just, you know, a guy loving movies at a film festival. Like I said, way to go, man. But that was rough. So
that's pretty tough.
And then there was that time I burned my tongue on some tea. That was weird.
All right. So are you going to do the hot pepper contest again this year, or?
Yeah.
Speaking of burning your tongue.
Yeah, it'll happen again. The first couple of years I would eat the peppers along with the contestants. Just to sort of,
good Lord.
You know, yeah. And problem is, as I've gotten older, I can still handle the heat. You know, that's not a problem. You know, I'll cry and, you know, snot will run down my face, whatever. I don't care about that. But sometimes I'll involuntarily just get like extreme hiccups where I can't talk. And a part of my job is actually emceeing the event.
Yes.
So that gets to be problematic if that happens. So I've stopped doing that until the event's over, and then I'll eat something that's left over or whatever. But it's a great event if you like people just, you know, fluid coming out of every pore on somebody's head.
It's the first thing that I look for, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's great. It's fun.
Now I watch. Do you ever watch? What's the podcast or the YouTube channel where they get all the comedians
like
on?
Hot Ones.
Is that what it's called? Hot
So.
Ones? I think so. Yeah.
With the wings and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that show's kind of fake, but that's okay.
I don't know.
I've noticed they're not eating things that are completely coated in wing sauce a lot of the time. They're like dipping, you know, which, you know, fun.
You should do a breakdown video on the video.
Yeah, like call them out.
Yeah. I think the world's waiting for that.
So it could just be all, you know.
It's probably edited out, I'm sure. But no, I see Bill Burr, and you know what? Bill Burr strikes me as one of these comedians who is just so honest. At least that's the impression that he gives. And so I saw him on the show, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna eat all these," you know. And I can't do his impression very well, but
yeah, I can't either. Neither of us are annoying enough to do an impersonation of Bill Burr.
I like the guy.
No, I do, but you know, you have to admit, if you were somewhere with him, that'd probably get annoying after a while. His voice. No offense, Bill.
My buddy Bill Camp says, just curious if, as an insurance adjuster, ever had that happen and cause an accident. I'm not.
Somebody dying and then causing an accident?
Maybe.
Or dancing like James Brown.
Bill.
No, that was Tony.
Oh, you know what he probably means is the hot sauce.
Oh,
the wings. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, I wonder if anybody has died from that. I mean, it's got to be. Like, so for instance, like you could have like you could have a sensitive health condition with your heart or whatever, and then all of a sudden somebody challenges you to eat a jar full of habaneros,
or you get that Diablo sauce from Taco Bell and you put an extra packet on too much, and then it gets to you, and those endorphins start going, and then heart rate starts going up. I'm not trying to get morbid, but yeah, I'm sure that happens.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I wonder too. You know, it's widely accepted that that marijuana has never killed anybody, right?
Okay,
like where there's never been an overdose of it, right?
Take your word for it.
I don't know, but it makes me wonder too, because like people get panic attacks regularly.
I've heard,
and you've only heard though. I know, and you got to think like somebody's on the brink, like somebody's heart is just like waiting for that over the top sensation to go. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know what the chemistry there is. If there's enough of if the regulation of what else happens in your body with that would keep your heart rate low enough, even though your brain's going crazy. I don't know if maybe it somehow doesn't they don't connect each other. You know, I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
but I mean, you'd think so. Like if somebody's freaking out, they can have a heart attack. But
sure.
But yeah, you never really heard of that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it was a bad idea to pop a beer. I don't know.
Who said that?
Well, what about what's the thing that Sidewalk does is the challenge where you have
the scrambles.
Yeah, the scrambles. I've always wanted to get involved in one of those.
That was some of my first early involvement with film and Sidewalk, was being in those, because they would I was like the biggest person and by that I was the roundest person of anybody, that I knew. So I was always the bouncer or the cop or something like that, in films like that, where they needed a heavy. And so that's kind of how I got involved. And there's, something about staying up for 48 hours is also pretty thrilling too, especially as you get older. Doesn't happen as much, but they're a lot of fun.
So y'all wouldn't like take a break and take a nap or trade out or anything? You're straight up awake for 2 days.
I think some teams have sort of learned the process over the years. You as soon as it starts, you write until 1 or 2, then you set it up. So you just start filming the next day. And now equipment is so accessible and editing and things like that. So you've got, shooting all day on the first full day. And then hopefully by, early Sunday morning, you're editing. And so not everybody has to stay up all 48 hours, but it sure is a lot of fun. It is fun. And it's quite a challenge.
What was the first year that you got involved with one of the scrambles?
Gosh, I can't even remember. I don't know. And I will tell you this, like, there are people who were involved with scrambles who have gone on to have very successful careers. Like, Adam Wingard, who's a full-on Hollywood feature director, was involved in some of those in the beginning. Directing Godzilla versus Kong for Universal or whoever's doing that. Yeah. And he did the Blair Witch Redux thing that they made a couple of years ago that some people liked, some people didn't. He did.
I didn't catch wind of that one.
He did a couple of great horror films. But
so he started out right here.
Yeah. I was in a music video with him and had a bigger part than he did. Of course, he was acting. He wasn't he wasn't directing or anything. But yeah, I mean, there's some.
What was the band?
No, it was a contest, a music video contest. It wasn't a scramble film, but for Mark Broussard.
Cool.
But yeah, the scramble stuff has shown what people can do on a limited amount of time, and it's pretty amazing. There's been some killer stuff and some terrible stuff, but there's been some killer stuff.
There's probably a handful of people that get involved with that and wind up just going and embracing how bad can we make this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something to a creative process that I've tried to do songwriting just to complete something, because sometimes I get into a rut where I haven't written anything for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just have to decide, you know what? I don't care how bad it is. I'm just going to do it. And I like that idea as far as that's concerned. And I also wonder, like, are there events that are similar to that are like only one aspect, like such as like Break It Down, where a scene's already been written?
I see. Yeah.
Or you have to write a screenplay on certain topics.
Well, and that's and generally the scrambles these days are themed. In the old days, you might go in and they'd say, okay, you got to pick a prop randomly. You're going to pick a genre, and you're going to pick, something. You combine all these things. Now, I think the one that's coming up, I forget what it is. If it's silly or if it's something, but they theme them different ways. They've had musical ones. They've had Halloween ones. They've had all kinds of different themes. So it kind of makes you pigeonhole yourself, or fence yourself in a little bit as to what you're gonna write about. But that's a big challenge for some people who aren't used to that, depending on what it is. So it's a good learning experience either way, I think.
How do you go about getting involved with that? Do you need to already have somebody who's involved to get invited for the team, or are there random groups?
I mean, if a person wants to do it, they can sign up and then find their team or make their team, or you can, some people will call out on social media looking to get into a team. Some teams will say, hey, we need people, come join us. Sometimes those social events at Sidewalk,
you strike
together,
up, and then they've got this other project and they think of you.
And so there's a variety of ways. A lot of people will just sign up, pay it's a minimal fee for a team, entry fee, but sign up, and then
you say minimal. What is that? Like $20?
Yeah, $35, something like that. Yeah, we'll call out and put a call out. Hey, I need people for a scramble team, and people like to work on movies.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always wanted to do it. That's why I started going over there, is I just kind of wanted to get social, but I'm not really socially apt. So it's but finding other venues to work together with people is really the way that I would socialize best with others, I think. But, so I'm just super curious about that. When is that happening this year?
They do a couple during the year. There's one coming up. I can't remember. There's if it's March or April. I mean, it could be February for all I know. I don't know. It's coming up. You'll have to go to sidewalkfest.com and or the Sidewalk Facebook page, and then it'll tell you when that is. I just don't know offhand.
So I'm sorry. I was just reading. That's odd, huh? So I was just looking over here at Bill's comment, because he said, look back at the previous statement. So I'm looking back up, and there was one of the comments he made was, you have to stop stopping at stop signs and waiting till it turns green.
Yeah, that's true. That's my pet peeve.
Bill, I love you, brother. Cool. All right.
Oh, that's the other thing
what you got?
When it's flashing yellow, that means slow down and look. It doesn't mean stop.
Yeah.
That's my biggest pet peeve in the whole world.
You get hit that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's oh man. That's a whole nother podcast, brother.
So what sort of accidents have you had driving?
I got a clean record, man.
Yeah.
Don't even have a speeding ticket.
Not even a speeding ticket.
Nope.
For shame.
I know. And I like to go the speed limit whenever possible.
I do. I don't even pay attention to it. I just like intuitively, this feels like a safe speed.
Yep.
But there's one way that I've always had my accidents almost every time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when you're at a intersection and you're going to try to turn right, but there's somebody in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they look like they're going. You look
Mhm.
to see if you have enough time to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the jackass, even though you've just surmised you also have enough time to go,
Mm-hmm.
they've decided to stop.
I got to think it's like 1 out of 4 accidents is that accident. You see it. I see it all the time. That and people turning left in front of oncoming traffic thinking that they've got enough time, which is a completely different animal than the whole right hand turn thing. But yeah, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Or you get the tunnel. Oh, go ahead.
Good question.
Yeah.
Because again, I worked a lot of food delivery, so I feel pretty confident in my answer, but I could be wrong because I've had this debate with other people. So if you are in an intersection and you're trying to turn left, it's a green light. You have no arrow. In my opinion, you should always be out in the middle of the intersection,
Waiting. Yep.
waiting to go, and then take your turn. Because even if it turns red, well, then you're blocking the intersection. You have to go.
Right. And in almost all states and almost all cases, as long as, even if you are out there and it's red, they have an obligation not to hit you, even if they have the green light. Now you can't just cut in front of somebody that's already moving,
Sure,
but if they're stopped and waiting for you and it turns green for them and you're out there and they decide to go, well, that's their problem at that point.
Yeah.
Not yours.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on.
I hope you've learned a lot today.
I have, yeah. If nothing else, I've learned that that the equipment we have over here works.
People can hear you on the internet.
Yeah, people can hear us.
See us.
Well, yeah, both of them. But want to thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure.
I haven't seen you in a good minute, and so
I'm glad I met you way back then, and that we've kept it up over the years, and here and there, and glad that we still get to hang out and see each other, and glad you're doing well.
Man, thank you.
Cheers to that.
I'm supposed to have chemo tomorrow.
Well, that's a means to an end.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to bring that up to be dark or anything, but
no. I mean, good.
Yeah. So, anyways, what's the next sort of project that's on your horizon or that we should be looking out for?
Me? I don't know, man. Not to beat a dead horse, I think that Salsa Showdown is the next big thing you'd see me involved in.
Remind me again, when is that? Memorial
Day weekend. It's a Saturday Memorial Day weekend. Okay. Yeah. And like I said, that's a pretty big fundraiser for the Sidewalk Film Festival. I hope that I'll have other things that I'm doing personally between now and then. Be fun to get an acting gig or two here and there.
Heck yeah, man.
Especially the ones that pay. I like those.
Yeah. You like money too? Or
it's good for stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
You got a good joke?
A good joke.
Dad joke?
Oh, a dad joke.
Clean joke? Dirty joke?
Any of them. Any joke. No, I've been studying stand-up. So I've just been watching as much stand-up as I can and reading the books. And what I've determined is that I'm not funny. I just really appreciate good comedy. So as far as a joke on the spot, without ripping off Mitch Hedberg now that I was thinking about him earlier, what's your favorite Mitch Hedberg joke? We can end on something like that.
Oh, the one about the hang on, it's all paraphrased now at this point. Escalator and the stairs. What is that? At what point?
Escalator temporarily stairs. Yeah. Sorry for the convenience.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that's poor Mitch.
So the other day I went to go get a candle holder, but they didn't have any. So I got a cake.
That's a good
I love that one.
Yeah.
I like
you
it.
sound like him.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, sir,
cool.
I welcome you back on at any time.
Yeah, man.
want to thank you again for coming out. And
Thank you.
For all my friends out here in Facebook, we're going to be looking for more guests to come on to try to get whatever projects that they're working on out. Also, the space is available for really like a super reasonable fee that I haven't figured out yet. We all have grandparents that are still living, or I say we all do. Clearly, that's not
for yourself.
Yes, I understand. That was a foot in the mouth there. But if you have some elders that you would like to capture the essence of, sure, you can pop out your iPhone and do it all day long, all you want to. But if you want to do it with professional cameras and microphones and just have fun with a 2-person interview with somebody that you love, the studio is available.
That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things too with me is I am going through some health stuff, clearly, and I don't want to do a GoFundMe. I don't like. I can't do it.
Yeah, I get it.
So if that's something that you want to do, let's get together. It'll help both of us, and just message me, and we'll talk about it. But otherwise, again, James.
Yeah, man.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Cheers.
Appreciate you very much.
Yeah. Love you, brother.
Love you too.